Hello again, everybody. I'm Matt Robinson, and welcome to another edition of Robinson Responds. I'm here to give you my thoughts on the ninth Thursday night football game of the 2024 NFL regular season. Thursday night football was one for the ages again. We had a great game, another rivalry game in the AFC North, with the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens would win 35-34. So with less than a minute left in the fourth quarter, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow threw a touchdown pass to wide receiver Jamar Chase to cut the Ravens' lead 35-34. The Bengals decided to go for a two-point conversion, but failed to convert. Ravens hold on to win 35-34. So Joe Burrow, in the loss, he completed 34 out of 56 passes for 428 yards, and he had 4 touchdown passes. Chase Brown had 13 carries for 42 yards and a rushing touchdown, and he had 9 catches for 52 yards. Andre Yosivach had 2 catches for 29 yards. Mike Gesicki had 4 catches for 30 yards. Tanner Hudson had 6 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. Jamar Chase was phenomenal. 11 catches for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. On the winning end for the Ravens, quarterback Lamar Jackson had 25 out of 33 passes for 290 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Derrick Henry had 16 carries for 68 yards and a rushing touchdown. Tylan Wallace had 3 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. Mark Andrews had 6 catches for 68 yards. Rashad Bateman had 6 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Zay Flowers, 4 catches for 34 yards. Nelson Aguilar had a touchdown reception. And on the defensive side, Roquan Smith recorded 6 tackles, and Nnamdi Madubuike recorded 3 sacks. All right, takeaways that I had from this game. One takeaway: Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Another chapter was written in the great rivalry, not just between the Bengals and the Ravens, but specifically Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. Joe, statistically, he put on a show. 428 yards passing, 4 touchdown passes. Joe Burrow is at the peak of his powers right now. We're watching a great quarterback in his prime, and yeah, he took a lot of hits last night, including there was a controversial call where a roughing the passer was not called when the Bengals went for the 2-point conversion. You can clearly see on the replay that while Joe threw the ball, a Raven defender grabbed his face mask. That was not called. Also, there was a controversial call with the tight end. I believe it was Gesicki or one of the tight ends for the Bengals. It looked as though one of the Ravens defensive backs may have held the tight end. That was not called, but nevertheless, Joe Burrow, 428 yards. And as great as Joe was in that game, Lamar Jackson was just better. Now, Lamar only threw for 290 yards, but he had 4 touchdown passes. And there were many moments in that game when Lamar Jackson could have been sacked. But there was one moment in particular before Jackson threw the touchdown pass to Rashad Bateman when I believe it was on a 3rd and long situation where Lamar, there were several occasions where it looked as though he was going to be sacked, but he escaped many defenders, scrambled, stayed in bounds, and he almost scored a rushing touchdown. Now, Lamar Jackson won last year's MVP. I believe he made a strong case to win this year's MVP. Of course, there's going to be other candidates like Derrick Henry, like Josh Allen, like Sam Darnold, like a Jaden Daniels. But Lamar Jackson is just at the peak of his powers right now. And again, we saw Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson write another great chapter in the continued rivalry, not just with the Bengals and Ravens, but between these two quarterbacks, Joe and Lamar. Another takeaway from this game is the wide receiver quarterback partnership of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Burrow and Chase were outstanding together, at LSU. The year they won the national championship, those two broke, a lot of offensive records were broken by LSU. Burrow and Chase, and also you got to put Justin Jefferson, because Justin was a part of that championship team as well. But since Burrow and Chase have been together in the NFL, they have been so extraordinary together. And we saw that in the Thursday night matchup. I stated earlier, Burrow threw for 420 yards passing, and he had 4 touchdown passes. Jamar Chase put up 11 catches for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. 264 yards, and your team didn't win the game. It's got to be bittersweet. It's sweet because you put up monster numbers, but at the end of the day, stats and effort and morale do not win games. Burrow and Chase, they had a monster game, but they fell short. Another takeaway from this, Baltimore's identity. Really, since the Baltimore Ravens have been in existence, Baltimore's bread and butter has always been running game and defense. If you've watched Baltimore this year, the days of Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Haloti Ngata, rest in peace, the late Tony Siragusa, Peter Boulware, all of those defensive titans that played for decades with the Baltimore Ravens, that era appears to be over with. The Ravens defense have allowed a lot of points this year, and the identity is no longer in defense. The identity that Baltimore has now is offense. We know about the dynamics of Lamar Jackson, but we also know about the power running game of Derrick Henry, who continues in that tradition of Baltimore and how much they revere their running backs. But also in wide receiver play, like a Tylan Wallace, like Rashad Bateman, like a Zay Flowers, and a Nelson Aguilar. Now, Baltimore, not just with the tradition of their running backs and their defense, they love their tight ends. Shannon Sharp, just to name a few. Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews has been a vital part of the Ravens offense for quite some time. So I would say Baltimore is Kansas City in reverse in terms of identity. Kansas City, the last several years, even in the Mahomes, Kelsey, and Reed era, where it's all about offensive production, it's really been the defense that has really saved them from a lot of situations. It's really defense has taken center stage for Kansas City the last several years. This year for Baltimore, it's been about the offense that has taken center stage. The way that I had was the 2-point conversion. I know what happened last Monday night with the whole Buccaneers-Chiefs situation. Todd Bowles electing to go for the extra point. We know what Patrick and company did going up the field. Kareem Hunt scores the touchdown. Chiefs win in overtime. In this situation, I think Zach Taylor may have had that Buccaneers-Chiefs game in the back of his mind. And then also, too, I don't think they wanted to give Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense another opportunity, whether it be in an overtime or maybe with less than a minute in regulation. And remember, Baltimore had 2 timeouts. Gutsy call, but if you ask me, I think they should have played it safe and just gone for the extra point. And just maybe the defense would have had a chance to force an overtime period. But Zach Taylor felt like he made the right call, and they fell short, and they lose by 1 point. But, man, we've seen so many great quarterback battles throughout the years. Brady, Manning, Montana, Elway, Montana, Marino, Montana, Elway, Young, Favre, Marino, Favre. We've seen some great quarterback rivalries, even John Elway, Bernie Kosar, Dan Marino, just to name a few. We've seen Randall Cunningham go up against Warren Moon. And as I mentioned earlier, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. And we're seeing it currently with Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, also with Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, also Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But we've got something special right now. And Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, these two were dynamic in Thursday Night Football, but there was one winner, and it was the Baltimore Ravens. So again, the final score in Thursday Night Football, the Baltimore Ravens 35, the Cincinnati Bengals 34.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.